Hi, thank you for joining us on Archway Performance. My name is Mason, and today we're going to be looking at my WildCat Sport and all the performance updates and upgrades that I performed to it. To start off, I wanted to talk about my shocks. This is my single favorite modification that I've done on this car, besides maybe a wheel and tire package that's a little better than the factory. So the Bandit suspension is what I went with. There's several options that you can go with it. If you get the WildCat Sport Limited, it comes with Elka shocks, and the Elka shocks are an excellent shock. You really don't need to upgrade those, but you may need to have them rebuilt, and there's plenty of places where you can go to have that done. I opted to go with the Bandits. I got a good deal on them. I got them on a sale. They were like $1,500 and some change, and their quality is amazing. They don't leak. They come with good instructions. They're four-way adjustable, meaning I've got a rebound adjustment on the bottom, and I've got high speed and low speed compression at the top, and in the spring itself, it's a threaded body shock, which allows you to tighten and loosen the upper spring collar to raise and lower your ride height based upon spring tension. So these are amazing. It went from being a very harsh ride. This car came stock with the JRI Stage 1 shocks, and those, like, physically speaking, aren't a bad shock. However, they're extremely harsh. If you don't mind a very harsh ride, I like to do things like the dunes. I like to go and do some trail riding and ride in like desert conditions. And desert conditions, as far as like trail riding, they weren't as bad, but when I got into the dunes, the amount of wheel travel up and down required was very rough on my body with the JRIs. The JRI shocks never leaked and they didn't go bad, but boy, were they a rough ride. So I went with these, and instead of just getting springs for the JRIs, I wanted a whole new shock revalved, and the quality is amazing. They're easy to install. The directions are awesome as far as making adjustments. I upped the rebound in the rear a little bit and the rebound in the front just a little bit, and then I went heavier on the high speed for the jump landing, so bottom out control kind of, and then I went up a couple clicks on the high speed, so the chatter, so that helps with the chatter. So all four of those all the way around, excellent shocks. Very nice. I have them set pretty soft on dampening and rebound because I don't need them to be overly harsh. They're excellent how I have them set up right now, just like I like them. So the next thing I wanted to talk about is the wheels set. You want a high quality wheel for your ride. On the WildCat Sport, I cannot stress enough how important it is to have a lightweight wheel set. I did not go with a lightweight wheel set, so any performance gain that I gain from putting on an aftermarket exhaust, an intake, computer, you lose some of that because of rotational mass. These wheels and tires are about, I think the front ones are about 46 pounds for the wheel and tire combo, and the rears are 48 or 49. So they're pretty heavy over the stock ones being much lighter. So almost 20 pounds a piece lighter. So that makes a big difference in what the engine has to rotate over to give you that forward momentum. However, these are 8-ply, so they resist punctures, they don't get torn up as fast, and they're beadlock, meaning they're not going to get peeled off the outside edge of the wheel and leave you stranded with a flat. So there's some give and take on it, but it is what it is. Now, factory comes with 26s. I have 27s on it. I like the 1 inch bigger. I don't think I'd want to go much bigger without going to bigger power adder like a turbo. The next thing I wanted to talk about is the exhaust system. Now, my exhaust system is a SpeedWerx exhaust system. It's their full setup. So I've got their lightest weight muffler paired with their stainless steel header. Now, This is a loud combination. The exhaust system itself is their lightest one they have, but in return it's pretty much just flow through straight. Does do some baffling, but not a whole lot. As far as the installation on that item, not bad at all. You know, the factory fitment is great. It sits right where the other one was. It doesn't jiggle and shake around a whole bunch. It uses the factory springs. I like that. And then I installed an AFR gauge so I can track the AFRs in case I was going to go turbo, in which I'll need that to tell the computer how to make adjustments to the tuning map. But I got it as preemptive, so I haven't had to use the auto tune function yet, but I intend on using it. So that all works really well. It took a bunch of weight out of it too. All that setup is super light compared to the factory setup, and the OD or the ID of the piping is bigger so that it can flow more freely. And I think with their tune, it actually gave me more acceleration on the bottom end. I do have a higher top speed with this setup, where I was limited to, when I first bought it, to a little under 60. Right now it really doesn't have too much trouble hitting 70, so it's not too bad. We'll come over to this side. Now, as you can see, my DynoJet stickers. I've got when I bought it at 1,400 miles, I had the problem with the clutch grabbing. It wouldn't let me shift while the engine was running. So I pulled the primary out and found that the towers on the primary were wearing against the button and they got tight. So it'd be fine when it was cold, but once you got it hot, it wouldn't let you shift. So I put a brand new primary on it. I put a SpeedWerx clutch kit in it and a brand new belt. And I did that at 1,400 miles and the belt looks perfect still. Shifts perfectly, no problems. That's probably some of the reason why my acceleration went up like it did. And then the power commander setup for the fuel is actually located under here in the tunnel. And then on top of it, I've got an AFR module that connects to it, and it goes up to the DynoJet. Turn it on here. The DynoJet Pod 300 allows you to have a live window into what the DynoJet sees and all the systems hooked up to it. So I have it set to read engine RPM, throttle position percentage, map position. So right now I only have one map installed. I have several I can install more, but right now I just have the one map. And then I have my AFR readings. So let's turn this on. So what you're going to see is it's going to say 10 until it gets warm enough. And then you're going to see the reading. So that's currently what my AFRs are. Now, if I put in a boost module, I can also program it to see boost too as well. But I would probably, if I ran a turbo in this, I'd run a analog boost gauge because it'll be easier for me to track. Didn't really have to have this, but what I wanted to be able to do is I wanted to be able to do all of my auto-tuned functions through the Pod 300. So I went ahead and just did it. As far as setting the Pod 300 up, it was super easy. I mean, you have 3 different functions. For one, you can get the DynoJet software, and you can actually plug into this in the side right here. There's a little block off plate right now, but in the side of this, there's a place to plug in a cable, and that allows you to go in with the software, and you can set this whole thing up through the computer. In fact, it's actually easier to do it that way, but it's not really that bad to do it this way either. You can go through the configuration and set up what kind of display modes and everything you want. When you push the one button, it goes all the way to the bottom. I don't know if you can see this in this picture, it's hard to tell. And all the way back up to the top. So if I want to see gauge view, and you can also set up alarms too. This is to go to the next one. Okay, so what I got here is, we're going to go to the beginning. So this is the standard, you push the top button and it pulls in gauge view. We're going to go ahead and select, and then we're going to pick which of these screens we want. We want screen 1, that's what I use. So I select screen 1, and then down here, screen A, B, C, and D. So the one I picked was quad. And what the layout means is there's going to be 4 gauges on here. And then you can go through each one of these sub-menus and pick what you want. So I wanted speed, I wanted engine RPM, I wanted map position, and throttle position. So you can go ahead and select those items. So they're super easy to set up. Basically right now the Pod 300 for me is a extra dash to give me on-the-fly data from that, and then eventually I'll be able to use it when I go turbo to see all the AFRs and boosts and everything like that, and then I can do data logging through the Pod 300 too. So that's the plan. That's what I want to do. I've got a Kemimoto mirror, and I've got my winch control in here, but really that's about it. I mean, it's very basic. This car is not like super fancy, but it is one that works really well. Literally just jump in this thing, fire it up, and go for a roll. So that's kind of my stand-up on it. Now let's talk about the individual things on this. The shocks. Shocks were easy to install, easy to set up, and they work extremely good. So I'll give these my seal of approval. I would recommend to anyone to purchase these shocks from Bandit. They got them to me. They're made to order. So when you order them, they build them and send them to you. Super happy about them, and it's a great company to deal with. I'd say the only thing I can knock the company on is they don't have a phone really. You have to email them correspondence, questions and such, but they get back to you really fast, so not bad. The exhaust and dealing with SpeedWerx. SpeedWerx is an excellent company that deals with performance upgrades for Arctics, and there's not a whole lot. So I'm happy to have SpeedWerx as one of the vendors that have performance products for this model. Because as you know, these were stopped in production in 2019. You can't buy a new one. So it's hard to justify for companies out there to create parts for antiquated equipment that no longer comes out in production anymore. But Polaris has been doing that for years. You could still buy every part of a Polaris 900 just about from the aftermarket sector. Whereas there's just not the aftermarket. Like you can get brakes and wheel bearings and such for this, but there's not a whole lot of companies making A-arms. I think there's maybe, I think Super ATV might make a set of A-arms for this, and that's about it. You can get the factory ones, or you can get the high clearance Super ATV ones, but then you have to go with Super ATV's bushings. And that's as long as they make them. If they decide to stop making them, then you have to go back to the stock A-arms. So part of the world of an Arctic is just the part support isn't like the Polaris. But SpeedWerx makes a great product. I had no issues with the installation of the exhaust system or the operation. It has worked perfectly. As you can see, it gets used. I've installed this kit 350 miles ago, I guess now, and I've had 0 issues with it. It's been awesome. The whole power commander setup was plug and play, and mounting literally just had to connect all the wires on it. It came all apart, and you connect all the wires. It came with a manual, super easy, like literally bolt and play. So it was great. I would recommend it, but for $2,000 more, I could have put a turbo on it. So the kit was pricey. I think the header was, I think the header itself was like $899. The muffler was another 400, like 430. And I got the green powder coated billet aluminum tip on it, which I really love. That billet aluminum setup. Yeah. So I think it definitely has more pop off the line. This thing comes off the line pretty hard, and when you're going down a trail, it allows you to leave corners hard. So actually bigger, more powerful cars will have problems keeping up with this one because it's just light and quick. Now on the top end I get past. It is what it is. It's 700. But that's not really that big a deal because most of the time I'm in Missouri and I'm on trails, and I only ride in the dunes every so often. So in the dunes it definitely makes a difference, but I'm happy. So there you are. I feel like I'm rambling. There's all the performance updates on this particular car. I also got a Tusk. I feel like if you ride a side-by-side and you go out with your buddies, you better have one of these, because you might be able to put your own fire out or put somebody else's fire out, but at least you can. So there we are. That's the overview of the car. So any questions, leave them in the comments. Thank you for watching. Subscribe. Leave your opinion. Tell me you hate it. Tell me you like it. Thank you very much, and have a wonderful day.